My name's Ed Piskor.
I'm Jim Rugg.
We're going to take a look at some of our Crumb's early years of bitter struggle, Jimmy, and complete Crumb Comics, Volume 1 and 2. But first, what do you have for us?
I have Street Angel Gang, the oversized deluxe hardcover with probably my favorite end pages that I've ever made. This is still in print and available from Image Comics, wherever you buy comics, comic shops, online, wherever the case may be. But homeless ninja on a skateboarder gets sucked into the gang life. She's an orphan, doesn't have any positive role models in her life. Whenever the gang has an open call, they kind of draw her in. So you can pick that up now wherever you get your comics. You can also see how I make this comic on my Patreon at patreon.com/JimRugg. I believe I'm going to share. I did a process zine for this book, so that's going to be my share in June for my Kickstarter to download. I post a lot of my out-of-print zines and mini comics on there, and that's what the process zine is for the Street Angel Gang. So join me on patreon.com/JimRugg.
Red Room, Issue 1, on the stands now, man. You can't disable the power of the label. Publisher of Complete Crumb Comics, publisher of Red Room Comics. Murder on the Dark Web for Fun and Profit is the name of the game in this current series that I'm working on, and it'll be coming out on a monthly basis. Get it put on your pull list at your local comic shop, or if you want to pre-order those comics, you could hit up the link tree in the description below. It'll take you to the Fantagraphics website. You can put in those pre-orders. If you want to read these comics before anybody gets to read them on paper, hit up my Patreon, patreon.com/EdPiskor. $3 will get you the archive there, and you could read over 100 pages. Now, dude, the reason I put out the Complete Crumb Comics Volume 1 and 2, they do not bury the lead with this early years of bitter struggle stuff. I got hold of these comics very, very young. My first Fantagraphics book was like an issue of Anything Goes with Ninja Turtles on the cover, and there was a Crumb story in there who I hadn't seen work from since that Comics by Les Daniels book and the Comic Book Confidential documentary.
Right.
There was an ad for this first issue in there, and I ran to the comic shop after reading that issue of Anything Goes, scooped these suckers up.
How old are you then?
Maybe like 10, and that's something that the comic shop, like, they're like, Ed, when you talk about this stuff in interviews, you got to let people know that we had an arrangement with your folks. For like, they were cool with you buying Complete Crumb Comics.
It's a big ticket item for them. I mean, that's quite a few lunches.
Yeah, I mean, this thing was important to me. I hounded my folks for it, and I'm so glad I did, dude, because what this did for me was just sort of let me know that the things that I was doing at the time sort of made sense. Like, you could have a full career. You could build a career just drawing comics on notebook paper. Now, this is reprints from Foo. We showed Foo comics in facsimile form on the channel on like one of the earliest show and tells that we did. So this is tandem effort. Well, actually, these are just Crumb strips. But what we're going to get to see in here are some of the two-man strips that he did with his brother Charles. And you could always tell who Charles is, like the Charles artwork from the Crumb artwork. Charles much more confident in his strokes, bolder lines, heavier hand. And then Crumb is the more sketchy, loose kind of artist. And throughout this entire volume, you get plenty of two-man comics where you get to see both brothers playing off of one another. And that's super cool. Here we have just a straight-up Fritz the Cat strip.
Yeah, funny animal comics.
Yeah, man.
That's so interesting to see those guys doing this. How old do you know how old Crumb is whenever he's doing this? Like early teens?
Yeah, he's in his teens. I think he was born around my dad's age, so he might be 16 here or something.
You can see your lines on here too, the composition books that he's drawing in.
Yeah, man. You get to see these comics in the documentary. He's just showing cover after cover after cover. Most of them were kept with Charles, and whenever he passed, that Jabba the Hutt mother threw them all out, man. You hear Zweigoff and Roger Ebert talk about it on the Criterion Collection audio commentary, and Ebert is beside himself. Why would she do such a thing? And they just go back and forth for quite some time about that, man, because for one, it's astounding that they kept that stuff up to that point, and for it to get to live that long, 40 years or something.
You would think that it would have been recognized by that point as like these are valuable. Like it survived the time whenever you're 20 and you hate whatever you did as a kid and you throw it out. Like it survived that kind of purge, and yet, at the peak of their value, that's when you decide to destroy them.
Yeah.
That's really bizarre. What did they speculate why the mother did that?
I mean, she's just ignorant. She's just fully ignorant, man. Had no idea.
That's heartbreaking.
Some more of the two mans.
It's so neat to see this stuff because that feels like the how to draw, almost like those correspondence courses where they break down head shapes and things. Like that feels like it's exactly right. Like fundamentally, these are right.
Right. This is fun stuff too. There's that one book called Your Vigor for Life Appalls Me, a collection of Crumb correspondence. And a lot of that comes from these letters that he hand wrote. On the flip side, he would have like a cover image, and then you could see through here, right? You could see the handwriting through there. And that's what would be transcribed in that book.
Wow.
Just letter after letter with these like super cool covers. So
they really are great.
They had to track these down, like
comics within comics.
Like you see, Marty Pauls is the guy. Pretty sure he's the dude that writes the intro here. Yeah, see, introduction by Marty Pauls. So they had to like connect with Marty to get some of this artwork.
That's unbelievable, man. Talk about effort putting into something you're just going to mail to somebody, presumably that no one else will even see.
Yeah, sure, not at all. It's just that graphomania that he possessed. And these letters are awesome. Like, when you read that Vigor for Life Appalls Me book, you can tell that Crumb had a lot of respect for this Marty Pauls guy because he didn't have the same respect for other people he corresponded with. And those letters are incredible because it would be like, they'd be on a hunt for certain comics and stuff. And the way they would sort of share some of their new purchases and crap, they would just trace the cover and send that along with the letter. So like, yeah, I got this one. I'm pretty sure it's a Walt Kelly. Very cool, very fun, nerdy stuff. And these are the covers to those arcade comics. So some of the contents is in here. A Christmas Carol kind of.
I'm so impressed with how sophisticated the title treatments are on those.
Great letters. I mean, just good cartoonists through and through.
Yeah, good design. It's interesting that you get these whenever you're young, because when I was young and started reading comics, I had like a shoebox of comics,
Right.
like a very small amount, and I would reread the same ones over and over. Like getting a book like this at that time period, I would have just studied this book to pieces.
Which I did. And to break kayfabe, this second volume is the one that I got first because they needed to order this one in for me. Just from that, you could tell like I got all my young pubescent body oils all over these pages, but this is the one, and it's where I also started my my clock because he gave his age in here, and I'm like, okay, I have to be X good in order to have a career, comparing like my future age with the age he was when he was making these comics, and it wasn't that far apart, But once again, composition notebook comics.
Did you find that you were influenced by his like drawing figures, his cartooning?
I would do my funny animal versions of comics after this, and just totally bummed that I couldn't populate my backgrounds as good as this.
Yeah, he's a real savant. Like your teenage comics shouldn't look like this.
Right. I think a part of it is like what happens when you don't have good stuff on TV and
Right.
access to very much at all, man. You could just get lost in your
It
world.
makes a big difference when you have nothing else to do.
I think about the people with growing up with the iPhone, like they have too much distraction.
Yeah, everybody watching this video right now.
I feel distracted by my own phone. I got to put my phone in the other room sometimes.
I think about that with like writing. Like shut the phone off, put it somewhere else, go in your spot where there isn't anything else.
Yeah. But the mere fact that this stuff is on composition notebook paper and it's clearly done in pencil was everything to me, man. It was permission to just make comics without worrying about the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way set of tools. I think I got this before I saw the Crumb documentary, so you see the documentary, and then that influences your sketchbooks going forward.
This looks like the graphic novel we looked at, his early
Yeah.
graphic novel.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And this is him, dude, he's finally got the job at American Greetings. So, like, presumably some of this stuff would have been his portfolio to get that position. And he's doing stuff, like, in the company newsletter. These strips here.
That's cool.
Lots of them. So this just speaks to how fucking long he was working there, man. Doing nothing. Our Crumb Comics and Stories, I think, like, becomes like a Ballantine book or something. Like, gets like a significant publisher. No penciling on this, man. All just done in rapidograph.
It makes sense when you look at all of the pencil comics that we've looked at in these 2 volumes because they're so clean.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's not light boxing onto a composition book. So, like learning to draw that way, man. Because you can even see that they're not that smudged. And
Right.
they're in a closed book. Like if it was graphite everywhere, those things would be just all gray matter and stuff. So super clean.
Yeah.
Also very experimental. The pages look very different from page to page.
Yeah,
You
look
go
at that
from
heavy
this
rain.
hyper detailed backgrounds to things like this that are almost like negative space playing around.
And he is a drawer.
Sure.
So let's take a look at what his sketchbooks look like. And, once again, no excuse, dude. You don't got a hardcover Strathmore sketchbook? Then use your speckled black and white composition notebook. Just do it.
Wow.
And you can see he's figuring shit out. Proportions and stuff are kind of off, kind of weird. But you're right. This is that period of time with the big Yum Yum book.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking of.
More of these letters to his fellow fandom guys.
I'm blown away by these. I don't have these volumes. I have a few of these complete Crumbs, but I don't have these early volumes. And I'm shocked by these, like, what look like covers. What would go on to be like his underground cover style. Good color sense.
It's before Kirby created Marvel Comics and stuff. So the only good comics that were out were definitely just like the Walt Kellys and the John Stanleys. And look at how the level of craft just ups.
This is just amazing.
Yeah, totally professional.
Completely. All the stuff that he does where it's like bringing media within the images, I think is so rich.
And it's all like color pencil.
That must have been published.
Yeah,
That
it
looks
was.
published.
It was. I think it was. Once again, I think it was like Ballantine or somebody, some publisher like that. More of these sketchbook pages.
Wow.
Like I want all of these to be printed. I'm sure this is just a choice section, but the German stuff is all pen and ink. Like I don't think the German stuff produces any of this era.
I think Taschen is reproducing those German sketchbooks.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that they're putting out new versions of those.
Right. Yeah. I've seen those things floating around. And there he is, man, fetishizing his favorite kind of female forms. Look, a little Charles piece. This is also very important for me growing up to just like you draw everything. Draw everything. Don't just draw.
Yeah,
Just
looking at
the
this
fun stuff
sketchbook,
that you
that's
wanna
what I
draw.
keep thinking of. Like we've looked at so many how-to make comics books, and they just feel so limited compared to this. You
Yeah.
know, where you get the idealized figure and a diagram of that, and it has no life at all compared to what you're seeing here of drawing from life and observation.
There's
and
that character.
imagination.
These could be
Right.
the precursor images to the Yum Yum book with that little frog
Definitely.
guy.
Wow.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, I
Highly
can see how that would
recommend.
be very influential. Anything, whenever you first encountered these, was there anything that stood out to you as like, wow, I shouldn't be reading this, or this is? It didn't look like there was anything that was outrageous.
Pretty tame stuff in here. There is like a little bit of a sexual encounter with Fritz and that girl. She put it this way, she's nude.
Right.
But nothing bawdy, nothing crazy. And I think that when this would be listed in the catalogs, these first two, there's no M for mature or any of that added to it. So the very first ones that I scooped up, I grabbed this and issue 7, which has all kinds of crazy sex stuff, man. So it was like, what happened in those intervening years, man?
That's hilarious.
You know, when he turns from this guy to this guy. Anyhow, man, get your hands on these comics. Certainly if you're a maker, certainly if you're newer into the game, I find them highly inspiring, proof positive that tools don't matter, man. Get a pencil, sharpen that motherfucker, find a blank surface, start making comics.
When I would read about like Jerry Schuster and Joe Siegel and all these like old time guys, they would talk about like drawing on the backs of calendars, on like packages, because paper was even hard to find back then. So yeah, man, materials. Don't worry about the material.
Yeah, just make the comics. Kayfabers, like, follow, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the bell, will notify you when new vids are available. Jimmy, what's out there?
Join me on patreon.com/JimRugg, where you can download my hard to find out of print zines and mini comics. You can see my original art and how I make the comics I make. Patreon.com/JimRugg.
Red Room issue 1 out on the stands right now. Issue 2 being published as of this recording. Going to be coming out on a monthly basis. Get it put on your pull list at your local comic shop. Pre-order it from Fantagraphics at the link tree in the description below this video. There you can also join the Patreon, patreon.com/EdPiscor, and subscribe to Red Room Comics on the Patreon. There are over 100 pages up there right now. $3 gets you the archive, and I put new strips up every Tuesday.
You can subscribe to the Cartoonist Kayfabe email newsletter list at the links below this video. You can also find Cartoonist Kayfabe t-shirts and merchandise at the links below this video.
Jimmy, give him one more set of marching orders, man. We're going to be on our way.
Make more comics.